Hey everyone, welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux, open source, fun times, good times, try to put a smile on your pinky toes. That's how we work. And then, that's Jill. We've been talking to everybody in chat about medicinal baths.
Yes.
What are they? They're a terrible mystery. And a little bit of, like, what happens when the Mac users show up at a LAN party? Go back and give that a watch or a listen if you're one of our patrons. It's part of our live and uncut. Or you can just tune in live right here on Twitch, 3 p.m. every Wednesday. Pretty big show for everybody this week. Of course, we're going to be talking about the scaly bits and framework bits. Then I'm going to tell you about another application because I'm a big fan of like things that run in a terminal. Like sometimes they're fun just to open once and play around with. But this one you might be able to get a little more use out of. Mesa 25. And of course, running an operating system inside your browser, but this one's a little more useful because you can do it and host it at home. But first, Jill would like to present to you a commercial for Scale 2025.
As I do every year, but there's some new info in this one. So Scale is next week, and I'm really crazy busy getting ready for it and making preparations for our Linux Chicks LA booth at the Southern California Linux Expo once again. And that's www.socallinuxexpo.org. So Scale 22X will take place on March 6th through 9th, 2025 at the Pasadena Convention Center in Pasadena. And you can come spin the Linux Chicks LA Wheel o' Swag for a penguin surprise at our Linux Chicks LA booth number 218. So come and say hello and spin the wheel and win cool prizes and talk to us ladies. And you can use promo code CHIX on the first page of registration to get 50% off your Scale Pass. Woohoo! And also, something cool, once again, Strider's Lutris booth is going to be next to the Linux Chicks LA booth. But this year, it is going to be a 3-in-1 Linux gaming booth featuring Lutris and Glorious Eggroll's Umu Unified Launcher and Open Gamepad UI booth. So I think that's exciting. We're going to have a huge gaming presence at Scale, as we do every year, but this year it's even bigger, Vin.
It's going to be a fun time, and go check that out. And what's the web zone again? SoCalLinuxExpo.org. Yeah.
Correct.
Do it. I dare you. What have I been playing around with? Oh, man. I've been going on like weird side adventures. I've already told you, like ever since I did that Trackberry Pi video, like all the ARM SBC manufacturers, I did it over on Interfacing Linux, and they're like, hey, do you want anything? And I'm like, you can send me stuff. And they're like, okay. So I got like these stacks and stacks of like Raspberry Pi-like devices. And I've been like, I'm going to do something with it and do something fun. Got some really powerful ones, got some low-powered stuff. And one I really like has been like this Orange Pi 5 Plus. I'm like, I want to do something with it. And I was on a bit of a side quest to get like, OBS up and working on it. I'm still working on that. But then I got to thinking, I'm like, can I get Steam up and running on one of these? Because, I played around with Steam with the Rasda Ryan 06. It's got a GPU you can play on. It's like, that's cheating, man. Like, can we just get one of these up and running at home? And I know it's relatively easy to do on a Raspberry Pi. Why? Because, there's a billion of them. There's a Pi store. You can like install Steam. But what if you're running Armbian? What if you don't have a Raspberry Pi? And I've talked about that on this very show. I'm like, it's the lack of documentation for these other systems. And I'm like, be the solution. So I've stuck together a reasonable way to stick that in if you're running Armbian and you get a Rockchip-based device to get Steam up and working. And that's something I'm going to be putting out, a little bit of a guide for everybody in the upcoming future. It's really exciting to see what's going on, especially with ARM and Steam, because we talked about it on Linux Gamecast last week. There's versions of Proton for ARM that Steam is working on for mystery device, probably the headset, but mystery device, that is going to make things a lot more interesting
easier
in the future. Yeah. And you want to play around with it. And some things are playable too, like surprisingly playable. I'll go ahead and tell you right now. What did I play? Hollow Knight.
Oh, nice, Ben. That's perfect.
Hollow Knight using, just a rock chip, just a little tiny board, 720p, you can play with it. And it involves things like setting up, your Mesa. We're going to be talking about Mesa here shortly with the nightly builds with that and making sure you get the right driver. Some things that you're not going to find in one place. So I want to help people out with that. Stay tuned. Keep track of it. You can do that over on interfacinglinux.com or follow me over on the YouTube bits. But let's talk about the big thing that happened that was so popular. Framework was like, we need a bigger website because it's done.
Yeah, this is so awesome. So yesterday, Framework, makers of our favorite modular, sustainable, and repairable laptops and devices, made several huge announcements in their 2025 launch event streamed live on YouTube, which I watched yesterday. In fact, I was in chat interacting with people as I watched the stream. And I actually guessed it, Vin, a new Framework desktop. It features AMD's Ryzen AI Max processor, also known as Strix Halo. It's modular, tiny, quiet, portable, and includes a handle. And they say is great for games as well as a workstation or for AI. And the Radeon 8080M integrated GPU can handle 1440p on most games with high settings. Pretty impressive. And at the launch event, they said 2025 is the year of the Linux gaming desktop. And they even put a slide on the stage. And that was awesome. And I think it's going to be true. It has actually been for the last few years. So it's just getting better and better. And the Framework Desktop's DIY edition with the case and motherboard will ship in the third quarter. And you can pre-order one starting at $1,099 with a 32 gigabyte version, which is really a great price. But unfortunately, and this is something interesting, due to the current AMD processor configuration, the RAM has to be soldered on. But, this may change in the future. But that was interesting. They had to talk about that, the way this chipset worked. It needed the RAM soldered on. And what's really cool is the front of the Framework desktop case can be customized with many different colors, with up to 21 colors of panels, and the side panels of the case can be clear.
Can you imagine the first time you drop that and those all go scattered across the floor and you got to go find all of them?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it's cool because they have Tux Penguin ones, and I've seen Ubuntu ones, and, lots of different Linux distros represented in those tiles.
You know what, Framework, you better have choking hazard somewhere in the box.
Oh, yeah. But I just thought that was a really cool way to, be able to customize your desktop. And it fits in with the modular theme because they're little square tiles. It's great. There actually will be detailed instructions on how to build and upgrade the Framework desktop in true Framework fashion. So this may be a good one.
Be interesting. Now, I do have a question for you, Framework. Is this been sponsored by BAWLS? Because there's a can of BAWLS in almost every shot.
Oh,
that blue bottle that you have of this, or maybe somebody's just a ginormous fan of it. So what do we think about this? The Framework desktop, it's kind of an odd duck, really. I'm looking at it like this. Soldered on RAM, and with CPU soldered on. That's going to be a big old pile of note for a lot of you out there. It is. And then we got that PCI Express by 4 slot sitting on the back, man. We got that hanging out. It's not exposed by the default case, which means you can't get to it. So whatever you put in there, it's got to be connected internally. That's kind of a ooh. And another thing, 5 gigabit Ethernet. That seems a bit of a mismatch for anything that starts at $1,000. That should be 10 gig. You're asking me. Then again, what are we dealing with really? All the limitations of a laptop, because this is a laptop motherboard and a mini PC. That's what it is at the end of the day. It's got some bells and whistles on it, but all right. So if you're into do-it-yourself type stuff like I am, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, man, like building your own mini ITX system is just off-the-shelf parts. Probably going to be a better choice when it comes to price, expandability, and like strangely enough in this one, repairability, because you're not going to have soldered on RAM and you're going to be able to get an upgradable CPU for later, and you're going to have better expandability options with, a full size by 16 slot, and you're going to pick a case that you can put something in and access it from the back out of the box, which makes me question exactly who these are aimed at. You know, is it you? Like, let me know down in the comments, because I'm a big fan of what Framework has done to shake up the laptop market, you know, with the modular expandability, repairability, and how they've come in there and shaken things up. Huge fan of that. Love the motherboards that you can take out and swap out and put them in standalone cases. However, this, I don't see exactly who it's aimed for, because it seems like a step in the opposite direction of expandability and repairability, when, you know, this is something I would expect from a laptop, but not from a desktop. Because if I'm buying a desktop in, you know, somebody's built mini ITX systems, I want to be able to upgrade my CPU, and I want to be able to upgrade my RAM at the bare minimum. And, you know, we run into, like, these are mobile processors, so that's not really an option. And that is shown in what Jill was talking about with the RAM. You know, they have talked to AMD and they're like, hey, can we make, you know, they would like to make this module, but AMD's like, no, it's not really in the design spec, man, because these weren't designed to be in systems with, you know, upgradable RAM. So you want to keep all that in mind. $1099 for your basic model. If it's for you, it's for you. And it looks like they're selling out of batches. So a lot of people are like, that's my jam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the website, I waited for about 20 minutes on the website to go and look at the specs and everything. And that was really fun because there was so much excitement around it. And I, you know, honestly, I think as a mid-range gaming rig, this is pretty sweet. Considering,
I wouldn't buy this for gaming.
Yeah. Well, it said it would do 1440, so... Which
realistically, it's going to do, like, 1440 is going to be optimistic for a lot of stuff. Realistically, because, you know, I went and looked at the benchmarks for these CPUs. Your sweet spot's going to be 1080p gaming.
Yeah, well, that's usually
that's
true
just
for
according
onboard.
to every benchmark done for these. You know, these are not like, you know, special CPUs that are only for Framework. You know, benchmarks exist for these things. Some titles can do 1440, and, you know, if you're able to mix in FSR, the whole gaming thing is like a weird one again, because it's only got a by 4 slot, so there's no way to upgrade or put a discrete GPU into it. So you're going to be you're stuck with it because you can't upgrade the CPU either. So that integrated system, that is your forever video device. So that's what I'm curious about. And that's why I want people to get back to me and be like, no, you don't understand. This is what I want it for. Because it seems like it has all of the trappings and, say, limitations of a laptop, but it's bigger and it doesn't have a screen. So maybe it's just the cool factor. Because, you know, a lot of the repairability stuff, you know, they got the same modular things on the bottom, like things that just make brilliant sense to bring to a laptop that didn't exist on a laptop, being able to swap out the boards and all that.
Yeah.
This was already a solved problem on the desktop. You know, we weren't sitting around on the desktop making PCs going, man, if these were only easier to swap out motherboards, CPUs, and RAM, I'm like, no, we've been doing that for a long time. But maybe I'm completely wrong. Let me know down in comments. Q3 is as soon as you're going to be able to get one, because all the batches have sold out. So you'll have to Google when Q3 starts, because I don't feel like it right now. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about everybody's favorite social media platform, Reddit. No, nothing has ever been said negative about that platform. I have a Reddit account that is probably 16, 17 years old now.
Yeah.
I went over to Reddit when Dig started folding.
Yes, that was when I got my account too.
And I'd perused Reddit for a while, and, you know, Reddit's had its up and what it is, like it or not, you know, if you're playing around with Linux, you're familiar with it, because guess what? A lot of roads lead to the Reddit comment section for fixes and stuff like that. So you're going to end up there one way or the other. And there's still some actually really good communities on Reddit. There's a lot of stuff on Reddit. Do yourself a favor, browse old.reddit.com, because every time I go to like the actual Reddit thing, I'm like, oh God, people are, how? I don't even know. I'm scared of it. So I have traditionally been a fan since probably 20 years ago. I saw somebody had set up a way to browse the web in a front end that looked surprisingly similar to an MS Office doc.
Yes.
Except the documentation was effectively just the text versions of the websites you were looking at. And I'm like, that's a brilliant idea right there. Because, if you got Netscape open back in the day, now these days, you got Firefox and, Internet Explorer, whatever you're stuck with at work being monitored, that might draw some suspicion. But, if you're in a text document, you're like, oh, yeah, they're clearly working. No, you're reading, what would have been slashed out back then. So keeping in that theme, I saw this Reddit UI. It's pretty neat, man. It's a TUI powered by Bubble Tea and Go. And for whatever reason, the serial killer decided to give it Vim key bindings, which is okay. And it does allow you to browse the subreddits and comments. It even comes with a keyword filter. So you can just kind of plug that in and be like, I don't want to see anything about any of this. And it will do it. One thing you got to watch out for, though, is if you click on a link in this from a terminal, by default, it's going to open a browser so that you can get busted, man. You might get busted. Yeah. I will always champion tools like this because if you're browsing Reddit or if you've got links open, I'm sure everybody has or has had in the past, a work hack of like, how can I fill some of my idle time without getting busted? Because you want to look busy, right?
Yeah.
You want to look busy. You want to look like you're doing something. You have nothing to do and there's nothing going on. This is a great way to like peruse, our Linux if you want. Or, let's see, cool GitHub projects is one of my favorite subreddits. I love seeing what people are making, man. There's a bunch of great communities. One thing that wasn't clear to me, though, is if there's a way to actually log in. Because like one of the dumb things Reddit did was to limit authentication token. You got to pay for access effectively. Now you can set up a developer account and like access it like that, but that would be very handy because I have no desire whatsoever to like browse Reddit. Like Reddit to me is like 40 subreddits that I've collected over the years, which are just tech oriented. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see the rest of the internet. It's like any social media thing. I hack it down until I see the stuff that interests me. And, I'm not out there trying to find stuff to make me mad. Joe, what do you think about that, man?
Oh, I go to our Linux and our tippy taps.
Yeah.
Ben is the one who got me into our tippy taps.
Our tippy taps, popes with bazookas.
Yeah.
Cool. Operating systems and browsers are not new.
No, they are not. They are plentiful, thank goodness.
Yeah.
We have choice.
They've been around for a long time, man. And I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, hey, this is kind of not even an operating system, just a desktop experience, right? You're like, hey, this is like a basic desktop that you can open a text editor. And I'm like, fascinating. And, continued on with my day like most people. Mm-hmm. Well, Arthurian dropped this into the show docs. Actually, they posted in our super secret Discord that you can get access to if you're a patron, Twitch sub, or a YouTube sub. And I was like, all right, tell me more. Internet OS, free open source. And here's what I was hitting at the beginning of the show. Self-hostable. You see that? Yes. That's the big one right there. 13 months ago, this guy open sourced Internet OS. It had been around for a while, and it just rolled over 2 million users. Now, it's a desktop and a browser OS thingy, but yeah, graphics, audio, everything just kind of works in this, which is like, okay, that's neat. Privacy first, personal cloud. Keep all your files, apps, games in one place. You can access it from anywhere. And yeah, again, you can self-host. It's Docker. Don't have to worry about it. But that's just the tip. You can get up to a lot with a setup like this that my simple brain just cannot think about. And, big round of applause. Like this dude's been fighting with just vanilla JavaScript and jQuery to put this together. And I'm like, mad respect for that. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no browser application, so I can't get the inception thing going because, being able to open a browser inside of a browser, like how deep can we go? One thing I did notice, there's a bit of an app store, and
yeah.
Do I dare risk a live demo? Why not? Let's crash the stream. Let's go. I
think it'll work just fine. Yeah, there it is, man.
Welcome to your personal internet computer. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Let's see. Is Notepad, App Center. Okay, let's open up the App Center and see what we can get into. We can wait. Hey, it's working. This isn't bad. Oh, dude, I've been dying to play Fluffy Mania. That's my jam. Zombie Next Door. There's the video editors in here.
Games and Photo P, link to Photo P. That's nice.
Yeah. Danger Cross, Judge Zero IDE, photo apps, notepads. People are playing around with this, and the one that caught my attention that I'm definitely not going to try to launch on the stream is somebody's put Half-Life in here.
Yeah, of course. Doom or Half-Life has to be one of those. Idea
of that just had a special bit of a neat factor for me, and I'm like, okay, so there's some games. It can do some games.
Yeah.
I want to imagine like there's some really interesting use cases for this that I just can't come up with on top of my head, but being able to host something like this that you can access remotely from anywhere, securely on any device that you have from outside the house, I'm sure there's a use case for it other than like what I'm doing. I'm like showing up going, oh, this is really neat. So let me know about that. What do you think about it, Joe?
Yeah, well, I'm actually seriously looking at it as an alternative for Google Drive and Dropbox, because I just want something different and something that's more secure. So I just, it's time. Gone are kind of the days that we had home servers and everything, and I used to host everything on home servers, and a lot of people still do. But it's nice to have a place to put things in the cloud, and one that's secure and private and all that goodness. And I think it's cool that you can play little games with it too. That does make it fun. And I had actually a lot of fun playing with the live demo of the Pewter Internet OS on their GitHub page that Ven was just showing. It worked really well on my mobile phone as well. So that's where I first launched it was on my phone, and it worked beautifully. So that as long as I have access to it on my phone, on mobile, and on my home computers, I'm happy. It works on all the things.
It's pretty neat. Go play around with it. I will. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to let it go. Everyone's like, I self-hosted him. For the longest time, I didn't realize what people mean by that. Now, when people say they self-host, they mean they, get a Linode or a Droplet or something like that. And I'm like, I guess I'll count that. I go because again, old school. That stuff didn't exist when the self-host to me just due to the time meant that you were hosting at home.
Yeah,
at your house yourself. But it works either way. That's going to do it for this week. Bunch of neat projects. If you get anything that you want to throw in our direction, you can always leave a comment below the video. Maybe we'll take a look at it. But the best way is become one of our patrons. You can do that over at Linux Gamecast. Click that support button. We got a gorgeous little support page for our shenanigan financing, because as a patron, you get access to the live and uncut at the beginning of the show. I was talking about the pre-show and the post-show. We stick all that together in an MP3 and a video that you can watch. Speaking of video, higher quality video, better audio, something you can download just for our patrons. No commercials in it, nothing, just for you as well. And if you're Death Note or above, hey, you get access to our show doc where you can watch us like procrastinate until right before, show day, then be like, we better fill this thing out. It's a great time, but you can also drop in links for anything that you want. And of course, you get access to the after shows in the Linux Gamecast where we get together. It's a great time. We play some games. We do Trackmania on Tuesdays and Fridays as well. Just a gang of things. But thanks for your support. You make the show possible. Yeah. You let us do it where we don't have to worry about ads. And we can just show up and just give you our honest opinion. That's pretty dope. We've been able to do it for so long. Thank each and every one of you so much. I don't put your name in the credits right after I cue this bouncy music.
Yay, we have lots of beautiful patrons to thank, including our advisor, R. Theron, our executive producers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, drummer, the Targo Sparbrandt, our Chicago Kicks, Mules, I'll say, Glorious Egg Roll, Basil, our Sea Monsters, DSing G. Joe, our Death Notes, Kim, Chris, Leonardo, Dodger, Martin, Renee, our Chairlings, Mr. Alert, Mere PPC, and the list goes on and on. So many beautiful people to thank, and I can't get to all of them.
Some of them are beautiful. Some of them are fabulous. Some of them,
yes.
Some of them
are fantastic.
That's not a word I was going to use. But yeah, they're that too. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, middle of the week, couple of days left. Get out there, have a fun rest of your week or whatever you got in front of you. I know you can make it. Come check out some of the stuff I'm up to over on Interfacing Linux. And that's where, hey, you got questions, Old Man Vin might be able to help you out. Interfacinglinux.com. And like and subscribe on our YouTube channel if you're watching.
Yeah.
You don't even have to subscribe. Click that thumbs up button because YouTube really likes that. They're like, more of that. And then people will find the show. It's kind of brilliant because we got a new YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your week. See you next one.
Keep those penguins marching.